to literally the other side of the globe we go now. The confirmed death toll of the Maui fire in Hawaii, now at 90. More confirmations of death is expected. Hundreds of people are missing on the island, and officials expect the death toll to rise. The devastation has been far and wide. The entirety of neighborhoods absolutely destroyed in that fire. Let's go to Hawaii now. Ilihia Gionson is the Public Affairs Officer for Hawaii Tourism. Ilihia, thanks so much for joining us. Also, condolences for many of the lives lost there in Maui. But if you can maybe just sketch a picture for us, just how widespread has the devastation been?
Sure thing, Lester, and aloha kakahiaka, Cape Town. You know, the town of Lahaina, historically, it's been a center of commerce for the island of Maui. It's been home to the ruling chiefs of Maui, later on, capital of the unified Hawaiian kingdom in recent times, a bustling town, lots of visitors, shops, restaurants, galleries, but most importantly, a local neighborhood with thousands of residents. All of that burned to the ground. It's heartbreaking. It's devastating. We're still in the early days of this, trying to understand just the magnitude of the destruction. 93 lives lost so far that we know of. Search and rescue operations to look for remains, to check structures, all of that in the early days. And so, as you mentioned, that death toll is sure to climb, and it's just heartbreaking.
The rescue operation that I'm seeing on television reminds me, yes, on the other extreme, but it reminds me of the rescue and recovery operation of Katrina, where after rescue operations and workers have checked a house, they would paint or mark an X to say that this building,
Yes,
this structure has been checked. And yes, it's the other extreme, Katrina, water, Maui fire, but it definitely feels like a large scale of devastation there.
absolutely. And one of the lessons learned, many of the lessons learned after Katrina have been put into play by emergency management authorities throughout the United States, including at the federal level, FEMA, or the Federal Emergency Management Agency. They are boots on the ground alongside our local and state disaster responders. They are working to get people into hotels. The island of Maui, to paint a picture, the whole island has a population of about 150, 160,000. But on any given day, there are an average of 70,000 visitors. And so there are a lot of visitors on Maui. And we put out the call for visitors that if you do not need to be on Maui at this time, please leave, especially in the devastated area of West Maui with, no power, although power is starting to be restored now. It was dark. It was hard to talk to folks. And Lester, the last time you and I spoke was about a year ago about responsible tourism and about teaching folks that value of aloha and malama. And, the visitors who heeded our calls, who heeded that request to leave, really showed that they got the lesson, right? They expressed their compassion by leaving to free up resources and attention to focus on the folks who really needed it, which is the residents who are recovering from this tragedy and will be recovering for many years to come.
Of course, Ilihia, we want to know, and people have been asking, what is the cause of this fire that has caused such widespread devastation? As you said, 93 people confirmed it, with that number surely certain to rise.
Absolutely. It's really early to tell what the cause was, to pin on any one point. But when we look at, the effects of climate change on bigger and stronger and more frequent storms, those winds, the area of Lahaina is known for a wind called the Kaua'ula, but certainly not as strong as we saw on the days of the fire. And so those winds were being generated in part by a hurricane far away, but still very strong. That coupled with the drought, the very dry conditions. Lahaina, once upon a time, was a wetland area. There were taro patches, lots of agriculture. Over time, as sugar became the industry in Hawaii, a lot of that water was diverted. Those former wetlands dried up. Different things were built on. And so what used to be a very wet and verdant place turned very dry. So that plus the winds, it's really unfortunate, but that's the kind of toll that climate change is causing.
Ilihia Gionson, he's the Public Affairs Officer at Hawaii Tourism, giving us an update. The shocking and horrific pictures coming out of Hawaii after this last weekend. Best of luck to you and everyone there, Ilihia. Thanks so much for joining us.